understanding the will and tenacity of Ukrainians. The tragedy which is unfolding in Ukraine has brought some kind of unity to a divided world. There is a collective outrage, a will to act strongly together to show Russian President Vladimir Putin that his brutal actions will not stand. Even though the world is stopping the military interventions, when it comes to the actual fighting, Ukraine is on its own. And this is leading many to believe that the outcome of Putin's war is foregone conclusion. Putin undervalued the will of the Ukrainian people to fight for their country, and he overlooked the strength of his own forces. But what we are actually seeing on the ground of the Ukraine is one of the greatest military misadventures, and it's entirely due to one man's arrogance. It is important to understand why the Russian Putin felt the need to start a war in the Europe at this particular time. Until about a week ago, it was tempting for many to believe that Russian Putin was provoked into action by the eastward expansion of NATO, and this threatened Russia's security. We had poked the Russian bear. In history, Ukraine represents Putin's last hope, a goal which has been slipping out of his grasp for the last 20 years. The 2004-2005 Orange Revolution alarmed him. Now, the idea of a color revolution spreading to Moscow, which terrified him and led to him tighten his grip in Ukraine politics. Vladimir Putin favored the candidate for Ukraine president, Viktor Yanukovych, who gained the power as an Orange Revolution fractured and faltered. In turn, Yanukovych's corrupt kleptocratic reign came to an abrupt end with the 2014 Euromaidan revolution. This was further shock to the system for the Putin, and his reaction was swift. Annexation of Crimea was opportunistic by his own people, and it was well-planned blueprint for the current invasion that was drawn up for some time ago. During Chechen War in 1999, Russian forces changed their approach and sought to avoid direct fighting in Grozny. They fought from a distance using massive aerial and artillery bombardments to destroy the city, finally gaining control in February 1995. The Russo-Georgian War is another swift strategy, but Kremlin failed to achieve its long-term ideological and political aim of shifting attitudes towards Russia. Likewise, the whole Ukraine has risen to the challenge of Putin's invasion. Tens of thousands of Ukrainians have enrolled in Ukrainians' territorial defense forces. Queues have been formed in cities across the country to give blood. Ordinary Ukrainians in towns and villages have set up improvised militaries to hunt down saboteurs and slow the advance of Russian forces. Staff at garbage sorting stations have begun retrieving glass bottles for later use as Molotov cocktails. Metal workers are busy constructing anti-tank obstacles for thousands of checkpoints sprouting up across. Meanwhile, media outlets are providing Ukrainian audience with practical tips on how to sabotage Russian fuel supplies and offer guidelines on the best way to prepare Molotov cocktails. Members of the public promptly inform the Ukrainian armed forces whenever they become aware of enemy force in the vicinity. When Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov calls on villagers to destroy the fuel trucks following Russian armed columns, he does so knowing that many will do exactly that. Now, during the first day of invasion, Ukrainians set to work securing the supplies necessary for our defenders, while also organizing the transport and accommodation for refugees. Many different elements of Ukrainian society are now operating in the unison like a well-oiled machine. Meanwhile, Ukrainians abroad and all those who value peace and justice are organizing rallies and helping to pressure the international community into expanding its support for Ukraine.